All right, so it is the next day and we have a good chunk of things to do today. Starting with, Cordell is gonna do a clutch job on this. We are putting a nice competition clutch in this thing, keeping it streetable. I think this is what they call their stage 2. It's still a full face clutch, sprung clutch, so we should be able to street drive it, daily drive it with no issue. Handles 450 torque, pretty solid setup. Taking care of other few things on it while it's here. There's a valve cover gasket leaking. I think one of the turbo lines is leaking, some exhaust work. But yeah, we're gonna go over this thing, and then I have a Jeep to work on, and then hopefully that Ford Bronco if I can find some time as well. But yeah, we'll get it started. All right, it's like almost 11:30-ish, somewhere in that area. Got this 2015 Jeep Rubicon in here for some rear brakes. The pads were shot, and the dealer's quote was a whole lot, so we're helping them out. I already got some anti-seize on it. We have got one of the brake rotors already turned down, ready to go, looking all good within spec. Just some grease from me picking it up with my dirty hands. About to hit this other one. Real groovy, baby. And Cordell is chugging along on this thing. I think he's got the axles out, suspension out, transmission is draining, and then really just exhaust and a couple other bolts. That trans will be ready to come out. And this thing, hopefully, I'll have this done in the next half hour or so. All right, it's the end of the day here. Got the transmission out of the Subaru. Did a little boost leak test on this Evo, found no leaks. Did a boost leak test, didn't find any leaks, so that's a good sign, but I'm still thinking there's something weird going on, so I think I'm gonna strap it on the dyno tomorrow and watch fuel pressure and watch the wastegate and make sure everything's working properly. The clutch is out. I'm getting the seal out for this new competition clutch to go in. I'm gonna do an exhaust fix too while it's out. Got the new throwout bearing on, new pipe bearing in. It's about to go back in tomorrow, and then with some other fixes, be good to go. All right, it is the next day. I got super busy yesterday and wasn't able to film the rest of the day, but here's kind of an update on how the rest of yesterday went and what we got going on today. The new competition clutch in there, and I believe, yeah, he resealed some oil feed lines for the turbo, and transmission's about ready to go in. This thing I'm gonna get on the dyno this afternoon and have one of my guys come watch the fuel pressure and watch the wastegate and see if we can see what's up with this. I'm about to dive in on some diag on this 7 Series BMW. Running rough, plugged it into the code scanner and came back with a bunch of different codes. So gonna try and reset them, see what ones come back, and go from there on diag. So one of the first things I noticed on this BMW is obviously it needed a jump start. And I know on BMWs, if you have a bad battery or a low voltage battery, it's gonna cause everything to act weird just because there are so many electronic computer systems packed into these, especially a 7 Series. So I got my handy dandy battery tester here, and we're gonna go into the trunk and test it, see if we can possibly save it, put it on a charger. I get in here to get the battery, and as you can kind of see, let's see if we can, as you can see very clearly here, there is either water or battery acid standing in the trunk, in the battery area and spare tire area of this vehicle. Everything is kind of damp. That was loud. So I don't see any immediate holes that are just open to the ground, but that could definitely be a start of our problem.
All right, it is the next morning. Things got very busy yesterday. We got a lot of cars done. Cordell and I touched a lot of things yesterday. And let's see, let's give an update here on the Subaru.
Back together, just needs trans fluid, and now we're doing the exhaust fix on it. This thing came in for a diag issue that found the battery was bad. And there was a grommet BMW we had in yesterday. He got back to us late yesterday evening. I'm gonna go ahead and throw a battery in it. I have some absorbent in it that I'm gonna vacuum out of it that I got in there, getting all the water up. We replaced a grommet that had gone bad. I think it's right in here. Yep. Put a new grommet in there, so that should be good now, and then we'll put a new battery in it and then go about diagnosing his other issues. This thing, got a call from a buddy yesterday saying, oh yeah, we did plugs and coil packs and that won't fire. We replaced some pigtails. And this is what I see whenever I pop the hood. So this is interesting. The heat shrink has not been heat shrunk. The wires, it looks like they were just wired up randomly because the, let's see here. Okay, so the brown one on this pigtail is wired to, let's see, looks like, yeah, the brown one is wired to the brown wire in the harness. This one, the brown wire, is wired to the black and white wire in the harness. And this plug was destroyed, and this plug is missing the clip. So I believe we're just gonna sell him. I got the coil packs unbolted. I was about to just double check the plugs, make sure everything else was okay, and probably sell him on a couple new harness or pigtails, and then wire those in the correct way, and hopefully get everything working on it.
But yeah, that is what's going on this morning. This afternoon, we got a BMW Z4 coming in to get on the dyno and kind of see what he's making baseline before he does some tune work on it. I think he's got an intercooler on it. It's a 2011 Z4, 6-cylinder turbo, twin turbo. But yeah, he'll be in this afternoon, so we'll see what kind of power he makes. He's got, I think, an intercooler, some intercooler piping, some intakes, some things like that. But yeah, let's get going.
All right, we got this 2011 BMW Z4 35 IS on the dyno today. About to get this thing ready to go, get it up to temp, and then get the fans rolling. It's got a few modifications: intercooler, catless downpipe, air filters, and a charge pipe. So let's see, and it's on a MHD Stage 1 Plus tune right now. We'll see what it does.
got the BMW off the dyno. It actually made some really impressive numbers, so here is that data. This is it's a great looking power and torque curve there. So let's see here. The first 3 poles were on his stage 1 plus tune, and we saw a max of 414 horsepower and 434 foot-pounds of torque, which is really quite impressive for that little car. And then the last 3 runs he put on a stage 2 plus tune, and the most we saw there was 422 horsepower and 449 foot-pounds of torque. Really impressive numbers for an almost stock BMW Z4. All it has is an intercooler, a charge pipe, and some filters, and a catless downpipe, and then the tune, obviously. But yeah, those BMW twin turbo motors can make some serious power. But let's go see what else is going on for the rest of today in the other shop. Subaru is getting picked up by the owner. Clutch is good to go. Put out to around the block real quick just to make sure. We'll throw the gears. It feels good. Ready to roll with the new clutch. No more throw-out bearing noise. The owner's here to pick it up. Cordell is working on wiring this nice coil pack job here. Putting on some new pigtails and fixing some attempted fixes by the owner.
Soldering iron's older than all of us standing here right now. Guaranteed.
It is an old soldering iron, but
Guaranteed.
does the trick.
Thing's ancient.
Hey, puts in the work, man. Puts in the work, man. That's all that matters. And then we got the you're good. We got the new battery in the BMW now. So now to start diagnosing the other issues, I got a little bit into it before I had to go over and dyno that other BMW. I was about to pull the plug and check the spark plugs and make sure they look all right. But yeah, it is the end of the day now. Kind of give a quick run through of things that got done. Let's see. The BMW got dynoed. That was really cool. Let me know what you think about those numbers. It's pretty impressive. This Toyota Camry, we sold the job on it, so Cordell got to rewiring. He got 1 plug, and it looks like 2 plugs done. Still have 2 more broken ones to do tomorrow, and then hopefully that should be fixed. And then the Evo, unfortunately, I did not have even time to touch today. I spent a good chunk of my day looking at this thing. Got the new battery in it now. Tested the alternator, starter, the whole 9, the battery, everything on that side of things is good, according to my tester. Went and pulled a plug because it was throwing misfire codes, and the plug was a little bit wide on the gap, so I tightened it a little bit to factory spec, threw it back in, no change, so I gotta dive in more on that tomorrow. Other than that, it does need an O2 sensor. It's throwing a code for that. I went and read the live data, and there's nothing there, so it's gonna need an O2 sensor. This thing had to put a freaking helicoil in the aluminum lower intake, which sucked. But it is done, or the helicoil is done, so now I need to put that intake and whatnot back on. Probably tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow, depending on how busy. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and let me know what you thought about everything that went down in the past day or so. It's been a little bit longer than that now, I guess. And yeah, we'll see you in the next video.